Oh boy, Monsters University. Now this is a really fun movie. Going into this, I remember it being really damn good for it being Pixar's first and only prequel they'd ever done. Because back in 2013, I was hyped for this movie. So I believe it was one of the first movies I ever saw in cinemas. And by cinemas here in the UK to be exact. And now, I feel pretty much the same way as I felt going in after this latest rewatch. For it being Pixar's first and only prequel, it's impressive how much they laid out all the steps to where the two would end up being in Monsters Inc. The story here is very well done. I know I've said that a lot during this marathon, but that just goes to show that, even for a prequel, they still told a well-written story. Mike is our lead character this time around, which makes sense considering that, as of the beginning of the film, he had not met Sully yet. That is of course until much later in the film. This film follows Mike's journey to become a great scarer, and he works his ass off to get to the top with studying after studying after studying. All the while he crosses paths with Sully, who would become his eventual best friend. And the two have a bit of a rivalry to see who can come out on top first. Sully of course proves that he can, but Mike ultimately beats him out. But due to a little bicker between the two over their roaring, Sully accidentally knocks over Dean Hardscrabble's scream canister, which results in the two getting kicked out of the scaring program. This of course makes Mike heartbroken. That is of course until he discovers that he can still be in the scaring program, but only if his entire team wins the Scare Games, a competition consisting of 5 events. Mike and Sully of course don't take each other seriously, as Sully thinks he's in with a bunch of losers. But only after a humiliation at Roar Mega Roar's house do the two finally realize that they have to put their differences aside to win. All goes well for the 6 until Sully has a talk with Dean Hardscrabble, which then things don't go the way it seems. The final event goes as well, and Mike thinks he has done himself and his team proud in what is a very impactful moment for him, until he discovers that Sully had cheated. Which, how? Well, I'll get to that in a moment though. This of course makes Mike want to prove that he is, but after finding out that the kids inside aren't scared of him, that's when he finds out that after months of what felt like hard work and studying after studying to make his way to the top, does he realize that he isn't scary. This scene is really sad, as you really feel Mike's pain in terms of what he's been through. You feel all the more sorry for Sully when he tells Mike about how he feels when he acts scary. This scene in general is very well shot. The dark lighting makes everything gritty, there's no music or anything to interrupt the scene. It's just the VAs, Billy Crystal and John Goodman, talking. But then comes the scene that really makes the climax more satisfying. I have talked about this scene in my character highlight reel episode on Mike and Sully, and I think what I say here is more or less the same here. This scene is by far their best moment in not just this film, but the entire Monsters Inc. series. And after that, Mike and Sully, unfortunately, get expelled. And after that, you think, where are they going to end up now? Well, us hardcore fans of MI know exactly where they end up. At the place where we've known them to be for 12 years at that point. Monsters Incorporated. There's also a few things I noticed upon in this story writing-wise. I like the opening and how it establishes the university. Like when Mike is shown around everywhere until the stall scene, but having a sequence, it's just rhyming. Now you may think, oh, it's going to come up as repetitive like Sharon Miller Thomas. But it isn't. Because not only is this just natural sounding dialogue, but the way how the rhyming is incorporated here is handled much better than how it's handled in the Nitrogen era. Take the hint, Miller! And all of the events with the scare games are really well thought out. All 5 events make us want to root for the team we're supposed to root for. And you kind of feel bad for them in the first event. And again, good uses of rhyming for the challenge notes on the letters. It's really neat seeing some of the familiar characters from the original movie in this one. Like George, for example, makes a cameo when he's a part of George's Den of Kai, and at the end when he's with Charlie. And Roz even makes a brief appearance as a CDA agent. Even the Abominable Snowman makes a brief appearance in the mailroom scene. Oh, and Walter News and Celia make brief cameos, but only on photos at the end. And of course, the main 3 monsters of the original movie make major appearances here. It's neat seeing how Randall became the cocky and later on jerky self we see of him in the original movie. At first, he's a friendly guy, and looks out for Mike when he's studying. But only once joining RRR, that's when the cracks from the original movie start to show. And it's also really fun seeing how Mike and Sully met, and how they eventually became best friends. Their rivalry is just so much fun to see unfold, especially when they join Uzma Kappa. Speaking of which, I love all the members here. I love their arcs going from pathetic losers to eventually winning the whole game courtesy of Mike. All of their personalities blossom throughout this movie, and it's really fun to see. Raw Omega Raw made for a pretty interesting friend, not only towards Mike, but the rest of the OK team later on. This is especially shown in the scene when they humiliate them at their own house. After that, admittedly, awesome dance sequence. And speaking of which, now onto the animation. The animation here is stunning. This is the first Pixar film, I think, that the animation here really starts to blossom from here on out, for the most part. All the different monsters shown at the beginning have really creative designs, and there is some great moments when the lighting shines through. All the pink reflecting in the dark with the glow urchins is so well lit. All the illuminations in the dance party scene is great, and the gritty lighting shown in the human world scene, like I said, is so well done. And I even like how the characters are a little bit redesigned to make them look like teenagers, instead of the adult look we saw of them in the original movie. Pixar is really stepping up their game with the animation here, but we know that it's only going to get better from here, for the most part. The score here is awesome. This is one of the best scores from Randy Newman in terms of Pixar movies. He really outdid himself here. The opening theme slaps, and I love the music for the glow urchin sequence, and the montage when OK starts to improve in terms of their performance in the games. And I even like the reusage of one of the pieces from the original movie during the sequence when OK tried to escape the guards. Everything in this score is amazing. Now, I did bring up one thing regarding the plot, and it's the only gripe I have with this movie regarding its plot. It's nothing to do with Mike and Sully's rivalry, hell no. I mean the scene after OK's supposed victory, and when Mike finds out that Sully cheated to make them win. But my question is, how in the hell did Sully get away with the cheating? The screen was on during the whole final challenge. Sure, you could say, oh, the screen was turned off at some point, which gave him a chance to do this stunt. But surely security would have stopped him if they saw it on that big screen during the event. But I guess we have to let it go because plot. But that is the only complaint I have with this story, because everything else about it is really, really damn fun. Great animation, fun new faces, and some great feats in terms of placing the stepping stones to get to the original movie story-wise. Seeing Mike and Sully again is one thing, but seeing them in a new and expanded light makes this all the more memorable. Definitely a great and fun watch all around. And it was definitely worth the hype back then. Well, we are nearing the halfway mark of the films that I have to review as of now. And tomorrow, we'll be stepping into the mind with Inside Out. This is going to be fascinating, as it has been a hot minute since I've seen this movie. What will it bring to the table? Well, we will have to see in the next video.